Hey everybody, I'm Kendall.
And I'm Jenna, and we're Gearheads here at Backcountry, and today we're going to be talking to you about some of the best skis of 2025.
We have top picks for everything skiing and snowboarding in our ski and ride guide. Check that out over here. And we have chapter timestamps below if you want to skip around in this video.
All right, well, let's get into the fun stuff. I think we're going to start with the top all-mountain picks.
Sweet, let's do it.
All right, so we're going to start off with the men's all-mountain pick. So tell me about the ski.
This is the Nordica Enforcer 104. This is like a super classic all-mountain ski from Nordica. Super popular out here in the Wasatch. And this one's going to be 104 underfoot. It uses a wood core with 2 Titanol layers, and it's a partial twin tip. So that's kind of a cool mix. You get the charginess from the Titanol, but you still have that partial twin if you want to get freestyling. Love the Enforcer 104. Super cool top sheet this year. Comes in a bunch of different lengths, and it has like a pretty medium turn radius. I believe in this 179, it's an 18.5 meter radius.
Okay, so tell me about the rocker profile of this ski.
So this is going to be a rocker camber rocker profile. That's rocker in the tip, camber underfoot, and then more rocker in the tail. Not a ton of tail rocker in this one. Pretty typical for an all-mountain ski. Gives you a little bit more effective edge. Pretty solid amount of camber though here. I think this is going to give you some like really good poppy energy, almost reminiscent of like just a wide park ski, I think, in that sense. Going to give you lots of pop-off jumps, and then the camber underfoot is also going to give you really good grip on, firmer or more variable snow conditions.
All right. Great, so now that you've kind of run me through the specs, who do you think is the ideal person to be riding this ski this winter?
So I think at 104 underfoot, you're definitely expecting to see some amount of fresh snow with this ski. That being said, I think this would be a great daily driver for somebody in the Rocky Mountain West, like here in the Wasatch. I think this would be good for maybe a little bit more low tide conditions, as long as it's not like a super deep day. This is going to be a great one to go to, and I think for someone who maybe is either comes from a freestyle background or is at least a little bit freestyle curious, I think, the partial twin tip, the rocker camber profile of this ski is going to work for somebody with that kind of background. And then I think if you're maybe somewhere like the East Coast where there's not quite as much regular snowfall, this might be your soft snow ski. So maybe this is what you take out when you get a little bit of a storm, and then you have something under 100 underfoot for the firmer days.
Okay, let's move on to the women's.
Look at this snazzy top sheet. Jenna, what do we have here?
So for the women's all-mountain pick, we're going to have the Faction Prodigy 3. Besides the fact that this graphic is absolutely stunning, this ski itself is going to be an awesome all-mountain ski. We're going to have a 106 width, which is going to be really ideal for still kind of cruising through a little bit of chunder, but if you get a little bit of a powder day, you're still going to float on top, which is awesome because it's going to have that camber rocker profile with a 3mm camber. Perfect, we can look at that. And so this is gonna allow you to just still float on top of that snow. And with that poplar wood core, in addition to the camber, you're gonna pop and flex the ski so easily while still having it remain with a good shape so that you're not just flimsying all about.
Yeah, and poplar's one of my favorite materials for skis too, just because it's really durable.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The ski is gonna hard charge and just float equally as well through all conditions.
Looks like this is a 172 centimeter here. What are the other length options?
Yeah, so while we have the 172 here, we're also going to have a 164 and a 184. So a couple different options for different heights.
Radness, and then I see 3 different mount point lines here. That's a little bit unusual. What's the story there?
Yeah, so if you look at it a little bit closely, we're going to have the new school mount point, the progressive mount point, and then the classic mount point. And so this is going to be really good just depending on what level you're at with your skiing. Classic is going to be great for somewhat of your more beginners, people who like it with a little bit farther back mount point.
Or maybe you've just been skiing for a long time and you're used to that more classic, mount point.
Exactly. And then moving up to progressive and new school, as we see more people in the park and things like that, we're kind of moving those mount points up a little bit, centering them. So this just gives you 3 different options depending on how exactly you want to ski the ski. Seeing as it is all mountain, you could take it into the park, you could go into the powder. This is really going to be up to you how you want to mount them.
Right on. Jenna, I see these have like a bit of a twin tip, it looks like. What's the story with the shape?
This is a directional twin, and if we start up here at the tip, we're gonna have about 405 millimeters of rise, and then slowly working your way down the ski. When we hit the center, we're gonna have a 3mm camber, and then getting down to the tail, we're gonna have a 325 millimeter rise in the tail, so not quite as much as the tip, but still having that twin tip shape, so that if you are taking these all over the mountain, if you're spinning, you're landing switch, this is going to allow you to kind of do it all.
Totally, yeah. I've skied the Prodigy series in the past, and I think they have a really intuitive pivot They're really easy to bring around, and I think that tip and tail rocker is what really helps. And then it's just enough camber to get you the edge performance that you need on the more variable snow conditions. Super fun ski, great
Exactly.
mix.
So then, while turning radius does depend on the length of the ski, we have the 172 here, and so the turning radius of this ski is going to be about 17 meters.
Yeah, so that's going to be like pretty middle of the road, I think, maybe
Yeah.
slightly on the long side, but definitely a manageable turning radius, especially with more of like a twin tip ski that's going to give you a little bit more to edge with since you have so much tip and tail rocker.
Exactly.
106 millimeter waisted directional twin. Who is this ski for?
This ski, because it's in the all-mountain category, is going to be for someone who's going to be hitting a really wide range of terrain. You want to be hitting the groomers, because you're still going to be able to get up on edge on this ski. When we get a fresh powder day, you want to be floating. That's why we got that tip rocker. I would also say, though, that with this being a 106 millimeter underfoot, because it has a slightly wider turn radius, this is definitely going to be for your intermediate to advanced skiers who are looking to rip across the entire mountain.
Totally, yeah. Super sweet, like West Coast, Rocky Mountain, all mountain ski.
Yeah. Speaking about the width on this thing and the fact that you can cruise through powder, let's just move on to our powder section.
Let's do it.
Okay, while I think we all already know what this ski is, talk to me about the iconic Bentchetler.
People's Choice ski. Yeah, the new Bentchetler sports a pretty wild new graphic this year. I mean, it would be hard not to notice this in the lift line, but they look great. I don't think they're too flashy by any means. But yeah, here we have the Bentchetler 120. This is kind of, like the flagship powder ski from Atomic. It is 120 underfoot, as the name would suggest, but I think it's worth noting that it's an awfully maneuverable 120 underfoot. I've skied these in the past, owned a pair for a couple seasons, and you can really get a lot out of the performance of this ski, considering that it is so wide. You can totally get away with skiing it at the resort as long as there's some amount of soft snow. But yeah, moving on to some more stats of the ski. This is the 184 here in front of us. It also comes in a 178 centimeter and a 192 centimeter. I personally ski that 192 centimeter at 6'4", and it's pretty manageable. I think the ski's pretty short in general, so I think it's worth sizing up on if you're curious about doing that.
Talk to me about the shape of this ski.
So pretty dramatic rocker lines on the Bentchetler. Quite a bit of tip rocker. I mean, your contact point is way down here on the ski, and then quite a bit of tail rocker as well, with like a pretty proper freestyle twin tip. I mean, this is definitely a freestyle-minded ski, and the shape kind of goes along with that whole vibe. We still do get a little bit of camber underfoot with the Bentchetler, which I think is part of the reason that you get some of that more variable snow performance that I talked about. I think, yeah, you can really ski this ski at the resort long after the powder's tracked out, surprisingly, and I think that, yeah, the camber is a huge help there. Moving on to the tip shape, we're still seeing the Horizon tech that we've come to know and love from Atomic. This is the horizontal rocker here in the tip. The tail features the same technology. I was surprised to notice that this actually made a difference on snow when I was skiing the ski. I think it makes it a little bit more intuitive for your tips to break up above the powder and then submerge down below. Not a lot of like tip catch, like hooking feeling that ever happens with this ski. You can really just like push the tips around and steer the ski how you want to go, which is really nice for a dedicated powder ski where you're kind of constantly slashing and smearing and pivoting the whole time. So it is a pretty cool technology. Yeah,
it sounds super playful and like a fun ski for being as big as it is.
Yeah, gives it a really surfy vibe, kind of unique to the Bentchetler. And then astute Bentchetler enthusiasts will also notice that the tip is a little bit different this year. They just made the shovel a little bit boxier, and they're saying that this helps even more with all that pivoting, smearing, buttering for the freestyle guys and girls. I think, yeah, this helps the ski just kind of like maintain its identity and like makes it even more playful. So that's new for this year. They also removed some of the carbon from the laminate this year, and so that actually ended up making the ski a little bit lighter even. It was already a light ski, especially for its category, but that also makes it a little bit stiffer, which I think the ski, depending on the user, like someone like myself, I'm definitely looking for a little bit more stiffness out of this ski compared to the previous generation. It definitely skis pretty soft, and it's supposed to. It's a freestyle ski, and that's kind of the way it's designed. But I think just adding a touch of stiffness is going to give it a little bit more performance, especially when you are taking it into, steep mountains, which typically are the ones that get lots of powder.
All right, well, talking about steep mountains, I know when we hear 120 underfoot, we're all thinking Ice Coast, East Coast, but let's be realistic. Who's this ski really for?
I don't think this is a ski that's going to make its way to the East Coast very often. There are other members of the Bent family that would be great for that side. But I mean, yeah, this is going to be a dedicated powder ski. I think you're going to want to have at least one other pair of narrower skis in the line if this is something that you're going to be reaching for. And then I think it's also worth noting that the Bentchetler is a pretty interesting ski to put a touring binding on, especially if you know you're going to be getting into places where you're really just looking for lots of soft snow. It's going to let you float really well. It's going to make it easier to get around the backcountry, being as wide as it is. You know, you'll hold your momentum a little bit better, maybe won't get stuck so much. Definitely like a little bit of a big ski to have on the skin track, but like I said, it's pretty light. Atomic makes that shift binding. I think that's like a perfect match here. The new Shift 2 would be really fun on here, just, you know, giving you like almost the downhill performance of a dedicated, like, you know, alpine binding, but giving you some ability to like hit some side country laps for sure.
And we will have a touring section, so we will have a ski that's best for touring, but I agree, if it's a really deep powder day, you probably want to take these out. It's okay if they're a little heavy. You don't go to the gym to lift air.
Yeah, it might be worth it.
Okay, let's talk about the side cut of this ski. It's pretty big, so tell me what the turn radius is looking like on this.
So considering the waist width, the turn radius on this ski is actually going to be pretty short. In this 184, we're looking at a 19-meter radius, and you can see the, you know, the effective edge starts way down here on this ski and then runs here again with the rocker lines being so deep. Just makes for a shorter turn radius, but I think that makes the ski a lot easier to get around. Obviously 120 underfoot is proper fat, and so that just makes it easier to pivot the ski and, you know, fit those tight turns in.
Okay, looking at some of these markings on the top sheet, tell me about the mount point of this ski.
So this is a bit of a unique one. The recommended mount point on the Bentchetler is actually like quite forward. I believe it's 3 centimeters back from true center. So this is a ski where, you know, even if you're like a new school rider, the recommended line might be a good place to start. And then if you're a more traditional skier, if you're used to those, you know, more traditional mount points, you know, -6, whatever, then you might want to consider actually going back from the factory recommended line. I skied these right at the factory line and I really enjoyed skiing them. I think it leaves you enough tip in front to still drive turns hard, but like, you know, maintains the ethos of the ski being super playful.
Totally.
All right, that's the men's powder pick. Let's do women's. Okay, we have another cool top sheet here. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, so this is the Coalition Rafiki ski, and Rafiki means friend in Swahili, and this ski is dedicated to all the trees that Coalition went and planted in Kenya.
Oh, we love to see it.
Yeah, really sweet. And so this one is going to offer a 115 underfoot, and what's really important to note is that this is the 172 centimeter height, and they have about 3 other height options. And so when you're down in those lower heights, like the 157 and the 164, this waist width is actually going to go down to a 111. And then when you're up in the 172 and 180 lengths, then we're going to be seeing that 115 underfoot.
Fat either way.
Yeah, fat either way, but just important to note, which, you know, could be helpful if you're a little bit smaller, shorter, and you're working with the ski. It's going to make it a little bit easier to maneuver, because it is also very important to note that with this side cut, we're going to be seeing a 20-meter turn radius. Pretty big turn radius, which could definitely have to do with the fact that this is really meant for deep powder.
Yeah, she's surfy.
Okay, so this rocker profile is going to be pretty traditional. We're going to have a rocker, camber rocker. Starting up at the tip, we're going to have 450 millimeters of rise here, which is just, you're going to float right over everything. And then moving on to the camber, really minimal, 2 millimeters, not a ton. And then as we slowly get back towards the tail, we're going to be looking at 336 millimeters of rise back there. So a little bit less, because most likely you're going to be skiing these forward, but in the off chance that maybe you want to do a butter, you want to get backwards, something like that, you're going to have a little bit of rise in the back to allow you to ski switch as well.
Totally, yeah, and I think these twin tips would allow you to do just that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so the makeup of the core of this ski is going to be poplar and birch, which kind of like what we talked about with the Faction earlier, it's going to be really durable, which is great. And then in addition, it's going to be light and poppy, which is just really nice to feel a little bit snappier on your feet, considering that we're going to have such a wider turn radius on this ski.
Yeah, should really help. Okay, women's powder ski pick. Who's this one for?
This one is really going to be great for those women that are just looking to truly float over some of the deepest powder. So if you think about our 900-inch winter from a couple winters ago, this ski is going to be fantastic in that. Staying on top, floating, making some really floaty turns, not really trying to carve it, just staying on top, surfing. It's going to be great for your deepest powder days.
Yeah, big storm day ski.
Yep. Talking about just like surfing, fun, playful, let's talk about the freeride category that we have up next.
Hard charging, let's do it.
Great. All right, flashy and bright. Let's talk about this men's Freeride pick.
Yes, pretty in pink, we have the Black Crows Corvus Ski. This is going to be a 110mm waist on this bad boy. The Corvus is a long-standing ski in the Black Crows line, and people really love it and seem to get along with it really well. It's like a pretty directional shape, as you can see, and as we pop it down, we have a little bit of tail rocker, good amount of tip rocker, and then some camber underfoot. Black Crows claims 3.5mm of camber underfoot, but this looks like a little bit less. Either way, it should perform great in soft snow, and because of the directional tail, I think you're gonna get great, effective edge and grip with this ski. So I don't think you necessarily need a ton of camber underfoot.
Do you want to talk to me about the side cut of this ski?
Yeah, so this is a pretty long turn radius for a 110mm waisted ski. Starting up here, the contact point is pretty forward, and it's a 25-meter turn radius in this 181 length. As you go into the longer lengths, it gets even longer from there. So it is definitely a long radius ski, which is going to mean that this is for making those higher speed arcing turns. Going to feel really good going fast in steep terrain, which is what the ski's meant for.
All right, what about the makeup of the ski? What are we looking at for materials here?
Construction's pretty burly. We have poplar and beech wood core to start things off, so nice damp feeling wood performance that's also going to be nice and durable. And then this ski also has a titanal laminate, just going to add some metal, add some stiffness to the ski for that torsional rigidity, and then also help pick up some of those vibrations even more. So from the ground up, this ski is basically meant for hard charging, skiing fast, open terrain. I'm thinking snowbird maybe on a mineral basin kind of day. I think this ski would be super fun to open up. It's also worth noting the tail shape on this ski. It's like not quite swallowtail, but it has a fun little bit of flare down there. Just a little, unique thing about this model from Black Crows that I think helps it stand out even more.
Are these skis vegan? Vegetarian?
Yes, to clarify, sorry, but this is not chicken.
Okay, good. Vegan friendly. We kind of hit most of the specs of this ski. Who is the ideal person to be skiing this ski?
So at 110 underfoot, I still think this is a ski that you're going to want some amount of access to fresh powder snow for. But I think this is for the directional skier, right? Who's going forward, going fast, looking to get into like some more technical, steeper terrain, most likely. And while this ski could be used a little bit, I think, on the East Coast, I think this ski is going to shine the best, more in the Rocky Mountain West, being 110mm underfoot. Like, that's fairly wide. This ski could shine in the resort. It's maybe a little bit chunky for the backcountry. Could be a really fun ski to take like heli skiing or cat access skiing, because like I said, it is going to shine in the steeper terrain.
Great. Well, let's talk about the women's.
Okay, we have Jenna, we have Icelantics. This seems familiar. What do you know about these?
All right, so this is the Icelantic Maiden in the 102 underfoot. This whole Maiden line, it's gonna come in 3 different widths. This is gonna be one of the staples of Icelantic. This is their Freeride ski. The female counterpart to the Nomad line. This ski is awesome. It's so much fun. The graphics for this whole collection are just phenomenal. For our Freeride pick, we do have the 102 underfoot. This is really gonna allow you to hit a little bit of powder, hit a mix of variety of terrain, whether you're hard charging down a steep line, whether you have a little bit of extra snow on top, you have something fluffy, you have something hard, you're gonna be able to charge through any of these types of snow.
Think high boy, think not a lot of turns.
Yes, definitely think high boy, think of the Cirque at Snowbird, something where you just wanna charge fast down it, you wanna make some floaty turns, nothing too crazy of an arc, but if you still wanted to lay some trenches, you would be able to with this ski.
What about the shape? Tell me about the shape.
So the shape of this ski, we're gonna have your traditional rockered tail, 4mm of camber in the center here, and then a rockered tip. Like I said before, this twin tip shape is really gonna allow for all of your free ride necessities. If you wanna land switch, if you wanna land forwards, if you wanna have a little bit deeper snow, a little bit more of a shallow day, this ski is gonna really cover it all, and it's gonna charge hard while covering all of those types of snow.
Yeah, I think 4mm of camber really gives the ski some more grip, some more performance when you don't know what the snow is gonna be like.
While this is their staple ski, for the 24-25 season, they actually completely changed the construction and the shape of this ski, which is really exciting because it's gonna allow for a quicker, easier pop, a little bit of a shorter turn radius, so you can just snap your turns right around. And if you're in the air, you're gonna lift that ski, you're gonna turn. If you're spinning, hitting cliffs, anything like that, this ski is gonna stay snappy and right under your feet.
Okay, so you mentioned that the ski feels a little bit quicker. What is that new turn radius?
Yeah, so that new turn radius is gonna be about 16 meters, going from the contact point in the tail running all the way up to the tip.
Yeah, pretty long effective edge on this ski considering the short turn radius.
We talked about the durability of this. Icelantic is known for their bomb-proofness. I have skied these skis and I have walked through rivers, jumped over rocks. I've kind of put them through the ringer and I have yet to break a single pair of skis.
Yeah, you get a lot of days on snow every year too.
Yeah, like I said, with that wood core and with all these changes that they've made, this ski is gonna be poppy, snappy, quick, and it's gonna allow for a really great effective edge. It's gonna be your great all-around freeride ski.
And that being said, who do you think this ski is for?
So this ski in the 102 is going to be for your intermediate to advanced because it is just that slightly bigger under waist. I think if you are a beginner, you could start to gear towards this, but I would still kind of recommend the intermediate to advanced just to be able to really maneuver that thicker waist. But really, this is gonna be for your hard charging women who are hitting all the biggest lines. If you're in the Wasatch, I think you could ride this on the East Coast because it has such a good effective edge.
Yeah, 102 is a good sweet spot.
I think 102 really hits almost everything that you need if you need one ski that does it all. With that tip rise, you're gonna be able to float over powder, but then at the same time, you're still gonna be able to lay trenches and carve on this ski. So if you need the one ski to do it all for freeride, it's definitely going to be this one.
The unicorn.
Yeah.
What's next?
All right, for our next section, it's lightweight, so we have to be talking about touring. This is the men's touring pick. Let's talk about this ski.
Up now we have the Pagoda 100 from DPS. This is like a pretty well-known ski in their line, kind of has like a crazy fan following because like Jenna said, it really is that light. At 100 millimeters underfoot, this is gonna be a great pick for when you really wanna get efficient out there on the skin track and you're maybe not as concerned with like the snow conditions, whether it's a super deep day. I think 100 is a great spot for kind of your daily driver.
Okay, so we've been looking at a lot of twin tip shaped skis. Obviously here, I can see we don't have nearly as much rides as what we've been looking at. So can you talk to me about the shape of the ski?
Yeah, so this DPS is still gonna be a rocker, camber rocker, starting with rocker in the tail, some camber underfoot, and then quite a bit more rocker in the tip here. That tail shape, it does have just a little bit of rise, but it's almost completely flat. That's gonna give you a lot of firm snow performance, which I think is also gonna help considering how lightweight this ski is. It's gonna help you, really dig into the snow when it's not that perfect powder scenario and be able to stay in control. I think, especially with a backcountry ski, this is important. The conditions in the mountains are always changing and you need to make sure that, you can kind of change your skiing with the terrain. And then, enough camber underfoot to help give you some grip, and then nice healthy amount of tip rocker because we're still hoping to find soft snow out there in the backcountry.
Definitely. And then what if we move into the side cut of the ski? What are we looking at turn radius wise?
Moving on to the turn radius of the ski, I'd say this is a short radius, so the contact point of the ski is going to be a little bit lower. This is a 15-meter turn radius on all lengths for this model. The turn radius basically runs all the way through the tail there. It just starts a little bit further down on the ski, which is how they achieve that shorter number.
All right, so obviously I was tossing the ski around. It's super light, but let's talk about the materials that actually make it as light as it is.
So we're going to see a Polonia wood core, super classic for a ski touring ski. That's a very typical wood construction. And then in addition to that, we're going to see a carbon laminate, which is going to give you quite a bit of stiffness for that weight. So that's just going to give you a little bit more to ski on, as well as a flax laminate. So that's going to be better for absorbing a little bit of the vibration when you do have those variable snow conditions.
We know this is a touring ski, but who are we really looking at that's going to be skiing on this? Who's going to really benefit the most in their touring days on this ski?
So this ski has definitely a respectable downhill performance, but I think the main highlight is going to be that really lightweight aspect of the Pagoda Tour construction. And so I think this is for the skier who's really efficiency oriented. I think this could also be a fun ski maybe for someone who competes with ski mountaineering. This could be their fun ski, for those mornings when they just want to take it easy. But it really is that light where you could almost compare it to skis in that class. So like I said, super lightweight feel. It's also going to be good for the more traditional skier because of that tail shape. But definitely for your dedicated backcountry skier, the Pagoda Tour.
So if you're really looking to count every single gram, this is going to work well for you.
Great option. I could see this working well with a super minimal tech toe kind of binding. Probably could rock a brakeless setup and be pretty stoked.
All right, let's talk about the women's.
All right, up next we got the women's touring pick. Jenna, tell us about these atomics.
Yeah, so this is going to be the Atomic Backland 101, so that 101 millimeter waist, kind of like what we were talking about with the DPS, a really good waist width. You're gonna be allowed to ski kind of a variety of conditions. So if you get a little bit of extra snow, if it's a little bit more of a shallow day, this is gonna allow you to kind of just navigate through any different types of snow.
And that 101 waist is gonna be like nice and maneuverable on the skin track too.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're looking to kind of, run your way up the mountain, you're trying to be quick, this is gonna allow you to really just like beast mode up the skin track. And in addition to that lightweightness, if we're gonna be looking at the materials of this is gonna have an ultra-light wood core, which again, just allows for the lightness of the ski. I was tossing that DPS ski around, I would say this one's pretty similar.
Also tossable.
Yeah, very tossable, very light. It's gonna really allow you to just cruise on the uphill, but at the same time, it's gonna allow for a lot of durability and maneuverability on your way down, so you don't have to worry about feeling like the skis are just flying off you when you are trying to go downhill as well.
Tell us about the shape of this one.
Looking at the shape of this ski, we're gonna start at the tail here, and we're gonna have minimal, but a little bit of rise here in the tail, and then working our way towards the center. A good amount of camber. I think this is still gonna give you a lot of good turn there. And then if we make our way up to the tip of the ski, a good amount more of rise, which is really gonna be great if you are in the backcountry and you're gonna see a good amount of fresh snow. This is gonna allow you to kind of stay on top and float above that. If we go from the top here, one of our contact points, and we make our way all the way down, as this thing continues, not quite until the end. We're gonna have about an 18-meter turn radius on this ski. And keep in mind, as you size down in the skis, you could go down to a 17 or 16-meter turn radius, but still a pretty good size.
Yeah, kind of on the longer size would be good for arcing some turns.
Yeah, exactly, because like we said, you don't know what you're always gonna see in the backcountry. It could be a powder day, it could be really shallow. You want something that's really gonna cover all those grounds.
While we're talking about the shaping of this ski, I've noticed the tip and the tail of this ski kind of have something special going on. What's happening there?
Yeah, so since this is really a touring ski, this right here in the tail is gonna allow for your skin clip to just maneuver right over. It's gonna hold really well. And then if we work our way up to the tip, same thing with that rise, put the clip of your skin tip on there. It's gonna hold really nicely, so you're not really gonna have to worry about, if you're in variable conditions, your skin coming off, maybe the tip comes off, the tail clip comes off. These are really gonna help hold that on there.
Yeah, rock solid. And then I think I see some tech borrowed from the Bentchetler here on the tip as well.
Really similar to the Bentchetler, we're gonna have this horizon technology that kind of creates like a really nice spoon. What that's really gonna do is just allow you to stay on top of everything. You're not gonna catch your tip, which is gonna be great. If you're in the backcountry, the last thing you wanna do is be catching something like that, falling maybe in a dangerous place. So this technology is really fantastic for being out in the backcountry. So with this technology, I think it's really important to note that this ski is definitely not a beginner ski. This is really gonna be for your women who are advanced to expert out in the backcountry. I think this is gonna be really great in all conditions and really get you to where you need to be, whether it's on the uphill or charging hard on the downhill. This ski is gonna be great.
Let's see what's next.
All right, so our next category is going to be the carving category, and both of us are originally from the East Coast, so I'd say we kind of know a thing or two about carving. Let's talk about this ski.
Here we have the Octo from Black Crows. This is an 84 millimeter waisted carving ski. Starting at the tip here, we have a fair bit of effective edge, but this tight turning radius is going to allow you to absolutely whip these skis around in the tightest of carves. Moving on to the shape of the Octo, this is a pretty flat tail ski, as you can see. Just the tiniest little bit of rise in the tail with a fair bit of camber underneath. This is going to give you that nice, energetic, poppy feel in between turns. It's what everybody's looking for in a good carve. Again, not a lot of early rise, just enough to get you up and over some maybe like uneven snow surfaces. Probably not going to be charging after any powder with this ski, but it will give you a little bit of off-piste performance, a little bit of rocker in the tip there.
Yeah, really keep you low to the ground, in your turn,
Yeah,
arcing.
for sure. Low center of gravity, lots of G's in the turns. That's what it's all about.
Let's talk about the materials that make up this ski. You want to get into that?
Yeah, so we're gonna see a poplar wood core here. We've talked about the benefits of poplar a few times in this video, but I think that it's a great choice for this ski because it's gonna give it some really good energy, right, as you're going between turns. And this ski is also gonna come in a 167, a 179, and then a 185. So you can find a size that fits you no matter what.
Okay, who is this ski going to be best for?
Yeah, so the men's carving ski pick at 84 underfoot, this is definitely going to be best for firm snow conditions, and it's going to be super fun for the person who wants to really lean into those carves. Maybe you have a ski racing background. I think this is going to be a ski that shines for that sort of person. I also think that it's going to be super fun to ski bumps with this. Being narrower underfoot is just going to make it really maneuverable, and you're going to be able to, really charge those bump turns. I also think if you haven't tried a carving ski, it's just fun to try one, especially for the person who has their dedicated soft snow tool. If you're looking at something in that sub 100 range and you maybe just want to try something new, something a little bit different, these carving skis are a blast, and they just, turns maybe a mediocre day into what can be a really fun day. All right, let's do the women's. What do we have here?
All right, so here we're going to have the Atomic Volant 7000. And unlike the other skis, we do have a binding on this one right now. And this is the Atomic MI12 GW. Full setup here. And so this ski here is going to have a 77 millimeter underfoot. So small,
Maneuverable.
Tiny, maneuverable for sure. And so that coupled with the 15-meter turn radius, which is going to be on this length ski, which is the 173. You're really going to be able to dig those trenches, arc those turns. This ski is really just, it's nimble, it's quick, it's going to toss you right around your turn.
So it looks like we have a pretty aggressive shape going on here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Really flat tail, again, kind of like what we were talking about with the men's carving ski. And then as we work our way towards the center, we're gonna have a good amount of camber, and this is just gonna allow you to really hold those edges, hold them really firm. And then we make our way up towards the tip, and there's a little bit of rise. And that's really just so that in case you come by anything, you're gonna be able to cruise right over it. But at the same time, these skis are gonna be staying low. They're gonna be staying down to the ground, pushing into a turn, low center of gravity. These are really just meant for on snow carving.
Yeah, firm snow conditions for sure.
This ski's materials, we're gonna have that poplar and ash. Again, we've been talking about those a lot this time. Really great materials to have in the center of that ski. It's gonna allow for that durability, like we've talked about. And then lastly, if we just wanna talk about who the ski is really for, I would say while everything else has been really good West Coast skis, this is gonna be really great West or East Coast. You wanna hit the groomers, you wanna arc some turns, you're carving really hard, pushing into those turns, really leaning into them, knowing how to keep your center of gravity low. I think this is really going to be for your intermediate to advanced. And with that being said, maybe you want to try out a carving ski for the first time. Maybe you've been dabbling in a bunch of different skis and you want to see what it's like to really have something just carry you all the way through. This would be a great option for that.
Right on. Let's hit the next one.
Our next category is park and pipe, a fun one. So let's talk about this K2 ski that we have here for our men's choice.
Totally. Up first we have the Omen Team ski from K2. This is a 96 millimeter waisted ski. This ski is actually replacing the Team Poacher ski that was used in the past. So this is going to be like a good comp ski, I think, hence the team namesake. This is going to be for the K2 athletes who are skiing the competitions. This is probably more angled towards slope style and big air than half pipe, being 96 underfoot. That's a little bit wide for a half pipe. K2 is basically revamping their freestyle line with a few skis from this Omen line, and this is the feature model. Moving on to the shape of this ski, we're looking at a proper twin tip. It's almost hard to tell which is the tip and tail, actually.
Yeah, they look pretty dead even, but I think there's maybe a slight difference.
Yeah.
Tiniest bit.
I think they're not quite symmetrical. The tail's a little bit thinner, gonna help a little bit with turning performance. But yeah, as you can see, you're just as well off landing forward or switch with these thanks to the twin tip shape. We have a generous amount of camber underfoot. This is gonna give you that pop that you're looking for on jumps. It's also going to make it nice and easy to speed check when you're coming into stuff. Pretty traditional park ski design. Moving into the materials, we're looking at a poplar wood core, kind of tried and true, especially for park skis. Definitely going to give you that lasting durability that you're after, especially when you're on the rails, in the streets, whatever the case might be. The construction for the Omen is going to be a Aspen microblock core, a little bit unique. Don't see Aspen all the time in park skis, but this is going to be a cool offering from K2. I think they're known for durability in the park ski space, so it's definitely cool to see them experimenting with materials, and that Aspen gives a great hand flex, I will say, too, with this ski. Feels really balanced.
What if we talk about the turn radius of this ski? I know that this is mostly going to be for park and pipe, but let's say you're taking it outside of the park for a minute. What are we looking like with the side cut?
So we're looking at a 17 meter turn radius, so as we make our way up from the tip, down to the tail, we have, you know, kind of like a medium contact point, I'd say, like not a long turn radius, not short. And I think that is going to extend the abilities of the ski, like you kind of alluded to a little bit. You know, it's definitely not like a ski for charging like hard pack down, you know, down somewhere like Snowbird, but I think you could definitely do some all mountain skiing on this ski. Think rolling terrain, think Brighton, think the Pacific Northwest. Probably super fun to ski all over the mountain, especially if you like to hit side hits and rally jumps and all that.
Cool. And then with that in mind, who's our best rider on this ski?
Yeah, so this is definitely going to be your thoroughbred, like freestyle skier. I think is going to really get along with this ski well. If you wanted to use a little bit as an all mountain ski, especially for someone who maybe has like a narrower ski for the half pipe, this would be, I think, a good option for using in the park, skiing all over the mountain a little bit too. But yeah, this is going to be our pick for the freestyler for sure.
Let's talk about the women's.
Yep.
For the women's park and pipe pick, we have the Armada ARW 94s. When you think park and pipe, you think Armada. Yeah. They are just a staple park ski, and they've been doing it great for so long, and so it's no surprise that this is going to be our pick. That 94 underfoot, kind of like what we talked about with those K2s, it's going to be small enough that you can really maneuver it over jumps, over rails, things like that. Really versatile, really ideal. You know, it's small enough that you're going to be quick and nimble on rails, but at the same time, it's just wide enough that you're going to kind of keep that stability if you're hitting kind of bigger park jumps, things like that. Really holds you in. It's going to be a great width for all around park. Profile of this ski is going to be a really classic freestyle rocker profile where you're going to have some rise in the tail because we know you're going to be hitting things switch, you're going to be landing switch, you need that rise back there. You got that camber at the center that's really just going to allow you to pop over anything and everything, and then working our way towards the tip of this ski, same idea. You know, we're going to have that rise, it's going to allow to float over things, you can nollie off of that. This ski all around is going to be so much fun, really playful. Great shape to it. For the material of this ski, same as what we've been saying for a lot of this, we're gonna have that poplar, that ash, that wood core. It's gonna be really durable, which is great because when you think park, you think kind of slamming into rails, hitting jumps, a lot of impact. That durability is gonna be really, really necessary for these skis.
You need it.
All right, looking at the side cut of this ski, we're gonna be having a 16.5 meter turn radius. I'm gonna work my way from the tail of the ski with the effective edge and then moving it all the way down to the tip of the ski, and so that shorter turn radius is actually going to be really helpful in the agility of the ski. So say you're popping from one feature to the next in the park and you're kind of bouncing around, this is going to be really nice to allow you to just kind of like skirt quickly over to each feature,
switch
make
lines.
Your way around. Yeah.
And last but not least, who's this ski for?
This ski is going to be best for your park people, your park ladies. If you're looking to progress on jumps, on rails, I would say this could go from the intermediate to advanced category. This is really going to be a great park ski all around, maybe a little bit wide for the pipe, kind of like what we talked about with the men's ski, but really truly on the jumps, on the rails, this thing is going to be so much fun. It's going to be really playful, and it's going to be really key to your progression in the park.
Do you think it'd be fun to ski on the whole mountain?
I think you could definitely take this into the whole mountain and still have a lot of fun. It's going to have a good amount of flex, so you might kind of realize that when you're outside of the park where you don't want it so much, but at the same time, you're still going to be able to arc some really nice turns with that smaller turning radius, and I think really, like, you could play around with this, pop off a bunch of side hits, things like that, and you'd have a blast.
Should we get into our beginner skis?
Yeah, let's get to that last category. All right, everyone's got to start somewhere, so we do have a beginner section, which is really nice. So for those who are looking to learn, maybe step out of the rentals and get into their first pair of bought skis, what are we looking at here?
Here we have the Nordica Steadfast 75s. These are rad beginner skis, and they also come with bindings. These are marker TP2 compact 10s, so a 10 DIN binding. Super sweet because these are actually demo bindings, and so you can adjust the size for the different boots. If you're making like a family purchase, this can be good for maybe handing down the line as kids get older. Or if you wanted to even like share a pair of skis, you could totally do that too. You can adjust these to a wide range of boot sizes. If you don't feel comfortable adjusting them to your boots, go to your local backcountry store. One of our ski techs will help you out, or you can reach out to a Gearhead and they can give you some guidance there as well. Moving on to the shape of the ski, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward shape. We have some early rise in the tip. We have plenty of camber underfoot to give you that reliable grip that you're after, and that flat tail to give you a nice stout tail shape that makes predictable turns every single time.
I noticed a little bit of extra hardware kind of on the tip and the tail.
Yeah, so that's going to be great for longevity, as we mentioned. Like, this would be a good pick for handing down between the generations. And yeah, just a little bit of added protection there at a high traffic area for the skis is going to ensure that you don't see any delamination.
I imagine just, when you teach friends and family and we're just kind of whipping skis around and don't really know where they're going yet, that's really great for
still learning all the different carry methods.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a nice little add-on. So the 75mm waist underfoot is going to be great for beginners. This is very maneuverable, just easy to get edge to edge, and you still get a pretty wide tip that looks like it could tackle some softer snow conditions as you maybe start to learn a little bit of powder skiing as well.
And then what about the materials in the ski? What are we looking like?
So we're looking at like a wood composite core here, common among beginner skis. Makes for a really predictable kind of ski feel, does a good job damping vibrations, but then you still get your, some of the traditional wood material to give you that nice flex that you're looking for.
And then with our side cut, what do you think we're looking at for turn radius?
In this 162 centimeter length, you're looking at a 13.5 meter turn radius. Pretty short, gonna be really maneuverable, gonna make it easier for you to get those turns across as you're learning the ropes.
I know we've kind of already covered it, but maybe just summarize for us who this ski is most ideal for.
Totally, so like you mentioned, I think this pick makes a lot of sense for the person who's going for their first full-blown ski purchase, right? If you're tired of the rental game and you're ready to step into something but don't know where to start, can't go wrong with a beginner ski pick like this.
Perfect. All right, let's talk about the women's.
Yeah. All right, Jenna, we have our beginner's pick for women here. Tell us about these Nordicas.
So here we have the Nordica Wildbelle 74, and this is actually going to come with this binding, and this is the Marker TP2 Compact 10 binding, and all of this together makes for a really great beginner to intermediate ski. So really ideal for those who are either looking to just get into skiing, whether you're coming from a rental into purchasing your first ski, or you want to progress from the beginner to the intermediate category. This is really going to help take those turns to the next level. Something else that I think is really important to note is that this ski, the height of it is going to be a 150 centimeter, and so you'll notice a lot of our other skis were a little bit taller, but when you're starting out in the beginner category, you want to go a little bit shorter. You don't want this thing towering over you. Ideally, you really want it right around your nose height, and that's just really to create ease of maneuverability, and so that when you're learning, it's already going to feel weird having these big things attached to your feet. So beginner, you really want to size down and go to those smaller sizes, which is why these last two have been shorter than the rest. All right, really great to talk about these bindings for a quick second. We got into them with the last ski. These are actually gonna be the same bindings, and so what's really great about these is for someone who is progressing, whether it's progression over a couple years as you are growing, you can actually adjust these bindings to be different lengths for your boots. So these bindings are really versatile and really ideal for someone who is changing in the progression. Maybe you have a pair of boots that you started with and you'll be going to a boot fitter, probably sizing down. So these are actually gonna be adjustable so they can change with the boot sole length of the boots that you're using, which is great. Material of the ski is going to be that composite wood, just like we talked about with the last one, and this is going to be really durable, really ideal for those who are learning. These are really going to be able to handle it all.
Yeah, nice and feature rich for the beginner here.
This rocker profile is going to be very traditional. You're going to have that rise in that tip to allow you just to scoot right over everything, and then a little bit of camber here in the center, and then just the slightest bit of rise on the tail as well. While this is definitely a shorter ski, with that comes a much shorter turn radius. We're looking at a 12-meter turn radius on this thing. So as you are starting to learn your turns, you're definitely going to be able to bring those around really quickly and really easily. So we're going from the effective edge up here on the tip all the way down to almost at the end of the tail. And so again, really great for when you're learning, be able to get those turns around a little bit easier than if you had a bigger ski that was kind of fighting you on the turn.
Okay, Jenna, who would you say this Wildbelle is for?
This ski is really going to be great for anyone who's been trying out rentals, is a beginner skier, and is like, I'm ready to purchase my first pair of skis. I think this is going to be a great ski for you to learn on, a great ski for you to progress from beginner to intermediate. All around, this thing is going to be really nimble, quick, easy to maneuver, ideal ski for your beginner to intermediate group of skiers.
Totally. It's always exciting to make that next step, and I think these two skis from Nordica are such great options with the included bindings and all.
Definitely. All right, well that concludes some of our best picks for the 2025 skis. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to videos like these, and maybe share a comment, let us know what you're skiing on this year.
Drop it below, and if you guys have any questions, be sure to reach out to a Gearhead. We can help you pick out skis, figure out boot and binding compatibility, whatever you might need.
In the meantime, we will see you out there.